everyone, it's Sandra and Landon out here with Gilligan. We've left him alone for a few weeks. I have put some overs in just today. You can see along with these overs from some castings, along came some new worms for Gilligan. So today I want to do a total bin stir. I mean, if you're like me, you are amazed at how much this level has dropped over the last 2 to 3 weeks. You can see that I've been opening the lid every day. And so these upper leaves are drying, which is what I want, because this is a good source of carbon for Gilligan that will also help moderate the moisture. So I'm kind of just forking over the dry leaves to one end so that when I create the feeding zone today, I can add these dry leaves along with some additional carbon into Gilligan. Now, I said to Landon just before we started filming, shut the back door before we start filming, because Gilligan has a few little miniature flies. I've never seen that type of fly before flying out of him. So don't know where that came from. I haven't fed him pumpkin yet, but he's going to get pumpkin today. All right, so let's just start stirring Gilligan up. I would imagine most of the worms are going to be near the bottom, because that's where the seed heating mat is. And so that is where the heat and the moisture is going to be, is right on the bottom. The really moist leaves. Remember last time when we first set them up, we had some puddling at this near edge. And yet you can see right near the bottom as I'm pulling it up, you can see the castings are starting to accumulate this lovely dark color in between these leaves. Tells you that the worms have been active in those areas. And I don't even know if I am where the seed heating mat is. Landon, does the seed heating mat go all the way to that edge over there?
It's pretty close.
It's in the center for sure. You look at, I bet when I break this open, yeah, you're going to find worms, because worms and cocoons love going in leaves, and this is their home environment. And you know, I'm tempted, not this time, but one time, I'm going to run Gilligan on leaves alone and just make him like a forest floor worm bin and only feed him leaves, because, you know, these worms are just fine living in a forest floor, as we know, out in the wild. But Landon and I did a pumpkin drive again this year, and we have pumpkins. And so I knew Gilligan was moist last time, so I just have to make sure that I'm not contributing to a puddle by feeding him pumpkin today, which is why I want to do a bit of a bin stir. And so I'm only done a fraction of this end, and I can already see that the castings on the bottom are the reason why this level has dropped so much. The worms have been busy, they're depositing cocoons, and they are living down the bottom and just eating up every last scrap of anything that they can get their little mouths on. These worms are lovely and tucking into this stuff. I can tell right away that I just need to mix and then put this pile back. And we're going to see a huge transformation in me just doing even that. You can see the darkness of the bin has really changed as I brought some of that moisture up from the bottom. So now let's do a stripe down the middle. Now, I haven't been out, and I haven't filmed Gilligan in the last couple of weeks, but I have been out here to add some overs, and some of those overs had food scraps along with them. Not a lot. Gilligan's worms have mostly been eating leaves, but they have been added to their number. I did not count the number of worms going in, so I have no idea how many of these worms are in here. So today, I'm going to be feeding a type of food. I call it a meal in a box that, you know, it's also going to have pumpkin alongside it. So I'm hoping between the two, we'll have a little bit of a family reunion with these worms, and we can estimate, not the way AV does with actual head count, but we can sort of get an estimate of how many worms are in this bin. One year when I filled Gilligan, I actually counted every worm that went in, think I was up over 7,000. I don't think I'm there this year. I don't think I've added as many worms yet. I will continue to add worms as I harvest all the outdoor bins that were from Gilligan, quite frankly. But in raw terms, I think I'm probably only up at about 3,000 or 4,000 in here. But we'll see. We'll create a little bit of a feeding buzz and see what happens. Okay, so now I'm down at the edge where there was actual visible puddling. And you see, I have no problem putting my hand in here, see whether there's any puddling still going on. This bin, it's just all leaves. So if you don't mind putting your hand in a worm bin, you won't mind putting your hand in Gilligan. So the worms are down there. Remember, I wicked it out by using this piece of cardboard, and I'll just pull the cardboard up. Look at the worms hanging out of the cardboard. Cardboard, as you know, has a cellulose-based glue that the worms love, so they go in between the channels. It's their little racetrack. And so that, I think, is a fly larvae, Landon. See that?
Yeah.
That is why we have flies. It doesn't matter. I'll just throw it out. It doesn't matter that it's in the bin because Gilligan's outside, but I'm just going to throw it outside for the birds. So yeah, worms love the tracks, but so do the springtails. Look at the springtails in there, eating that cellulose glue. There's another larva. Oh, birds will get it. Anyway, so this cardboard did its trick. You can see how wet it is. I did come back and check a couple times to make sure the puddle had disappeared, and it has. But you see the worms are down there. They love the moisture. So this edge is always going to be a little bit more moist because, like Landon said, there's a tip to the bin this year, a very slight tip, and it's on this front edge. So I'm just going to take these dry leaves, there's a plan, and put them down there. And, oh, I want to check on those egg cartons too, because I used both egg carton and, oh, look at the worm puddle in the egg cartons. Worms love egg cartons. I don't know if they use a cellulose or corn-based glue to keep egg cartons together, but the worms love egg cartons. There they are. All right, so I put the dry leaves down here, so that'll continue to help me remediate the moisture that accumulates there. So this is one of those takeout containers that Landon and I have picked up on our road travels. And I threw some worms along with some food scraps into Gilligan, but obviously this cardboard hasn't been gotten to. But that is what I am going to feed today, is another one of those containers, and I've made it up into what I call a meal in a box. And Gilligan and his worms are going to hopefully have a big party in there. So I've done a bit of a bin stir. You can see, I hope, how the material has transformed greatly now that the moisture is more evenly distributed. These dry leaves, the only remnants of the old color right there. So like I have done most years, I tend to feed Gilligan in the middle, but I'm going to go middle and slightly towards the back wall, which is a big reach for me. But why I'm doing that is because the tip is going this way. So anything that tips forward, I want the moisture to run, well, it will run towards me. So I don't want to put the moisture right at the front to begin with. That makes sense. I want the moisture to be a little bit at the back. I will put this cardboard down because I want as much to soak up what I know will be a moist feeding as possible. So first, this is my meal in the box. So I make these up when I have food scraps. I've put an old napkin in here. I've put some of our food scraps in here. And this is in a box that these boxes are not 100% compostable. I believe the liner is not compostable. The waterproof liner, it's still in Eat My Shorts, my indoor worm bin. The worms have not eaten it after about a month and a half or so. So I'm assuming it's not compostable, but the worms will tell us. Worms don't lie. So there's this meal in a box that the worms can get into. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this space out even a little bit more. And I'm going to put this old carbon here, and I'm going to put pumpkin all around it to make it extra yummy. So how many pumpkins would you say we collected, Landon?
Probably 30.
Yeah, probably 30 or so.
Somebody moved one onto our lawn today.
Moved it
Moved it.
from where it was?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so this pumpkin already has eggshell grit on it. So now it's going to be very moist, but what I'm hoping, this is like a fast food, slow food. The pumpkin will be a fast food. It's being previously frozen, and as I've demonstrated elsewhere, huge amount of moisture in pumpkin, whether it's frozen or raw. That's how much water comes out of pumpkin. It's just the previously frozen stuff, the water's going to come out faster. So I'll dribble that pumpkin juice into my meal in a box. So this pumpkin will be attacked pretty much immediately. And then the worms will get into the meal in a box. And so this is why I'm trying to create a Gilligan party here by attracting the worms to this one location. I also just did an experiment with Cinderella, and because the number of springtails on this cardboard or brown paper, I've decided to retire this from Cinderella, who is in my kitchen, out to the outdoors, out to Gilligan, and a little pill bug comes along with, so that's cool. So Gilligan has lots of carbon to compensate for this big feeding. I think he's got the worms to support it. So all I have to do is cover it up now. Hopefully we don't get any more incursions of flies. Gilligan is open to the air most days. We open the lid most days. So, flies could come in here. But just like with your indoor bins, it's always good to cover up any food. And I saw a bird on Gilligan today, and that is not allowed. Birds, go away. Go eat something in the garden. Do not eat my worms. All right, everyone. So that's a total bin stir for Gilligan, a meal in the box, and some pumpkin to try to attract a bit of a party. So check back in. Gilligan has a playlist, and we'll see what kind of a crowd we attract. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.